So what we're showing you today is a little modification I've done on the oil pressure relief valve. The valve and all that I've not done any modification. It's the screw that I've done the modification. But before we do all of that, I've done a bit of work on this. I've measured up to see with the pump on, see what the difference was in thicknesses there, with the pump flat down and bolted down with a flat edge, and we're within tolerance there, which is good, because otherwise you've got to replace this. I've gone around it. This is all fitted now, but gone round it all, measured it all up to see if it was in due of replacing, and the housing was alright. It was just a bit of wear on here. So that's why I replaced the other part. That was the original part that was in. I can't really, unless I was to here, you might be able to see a bit of scoring. It was minimal. It was really minimal, the tolerances, but I decided for the price of this and for the work that would be required to take all this back off, and for the cost that this actually cost, it was just easier to replace it, so I replaced it. But it was minimal. I did a test without any, because one of the guys that I watch who teaches you how to do all of this, which is Britannia Engineering, he uses the Vaseline and all that, so I did a test with the feeler gauges bare with no oil, then did other bits and bobs. Key like I did, you mark it so you can put it back in the correct orientation. Do you know what? It was minimal, but if anything, it was the plate that sat down and the feeler gauges that started to make you wonder. So I decided to, what you call it, do even the face on the inside was good. So yeah, I decided to replace it. So that was that anyway. But go into this, because this is where our real discussion is about the bits that I modified. So usually when this is in, you've got to chisel this off, which destroys this. I've done something differently. So I've had it machined so I can put the 3/8 socket in, so I can undo it, tighten it up as much as I want without ever having to wreck this, which you always have to do. And to replace that, the spring, and this is the old one, but a new one of these, 45, 50 odd quid, depends on where you get it from. You don't need to, and if you regularly service these engines, as you should do, with good quality oil, you never have to replace these. The spring you might have to replace. This is a genuine spring, and this is apparently a genuine spring made by Land Rover, but later on, because it hasn't come in a black style. And I think this is a reworked size spring, because if you go off the manual, so if we get the manual, the actual spring length, we have a look here, is supposed to be 68 mil, which is ridiculous. Ridiculous. So I've, what you call it, gone and spoke to Land Rover, and this is what I ended up getting sent. This one, which is 53.4 mil, considering to my 46, which there's a bit of difference there. Turner's said that would be adequately enough. But then when I ordered my Turner's part, that's what come anyway. So I don't know, but they're the things that I had a bit of looking into. But then at the same time, I decided, right, what can we do to that so I can always remove this later on in life without having to, because you couldn't chisel this when it's on the engine really. It'd be a bloody nightmare unless you had a ramp and all that. So, but anyway, enough of that. So what we're going to do is, the new one's already in, so I can discard that one. I can put that back in the bag because that's the old one. I think if I was to, what you call it, if I clean that up a tiny bit, you might be able to see just a bit of, see some of this marking here, just a slight bit of wear. Very little, if any. Let's just say this, compared to the new one and this one, there was no difference. But I got a new one for free off somebody, one of the Land Rover engine manufacturers. We do the rebuilds up this way, over in Lincoln. He did me a favour because I did a favour for him, picking something up from the engine builders because they can't do something at the moment with their boring machine for the pistons because it's broken, so they send everything over to a company near here to have all the machining done on the blocks. So he had some personal work and I said, oh, I'll pick that up for you because I'm here and I've got to pick my block up because I had everything sent to them to have them dipped because I've got a chemical dipping facility and a steamer, similar to Turner Engineering. So I had all that done and I said I'd bring you this back. He was kind enough to give me some bits. So I've got all these. I had that machine to give me the spring, give me do this, give me loads of little bits and bobs that would be handy for doing a rebuild. Things that never sometimes get replaced. But anyway, so that was that. They can go in there as reference. So what we're going to do is a bit of because this isn't going to get started up straight away. There'll be another month or so before, or maybe longer, because I've got other bits and bobs and I'm waiting for certain things. And to be honest, I can't fit the engine, even if I was to build it all up, I can't fit the engine until I get a load of other stuff, gauges and all that, because I've got to rewire a load of stuff that I'm putting new harnesses and all that in. And having the engine out is so much easier to do work and rewire everything and put it all in neat. So what my plan is now is to, hang on, drop that into there. So if I was to, possibly, actually, if I could, I should be able to do this like this. So that was the whole point of it. So if we was to there you go. A lot easier, even though that would be better doing upright, but to show you lot without having to move the camera, that's better. But yeah, that's it. It's all done now. All I need to do is clean that up with some special wipes that get in bulk. For doing the floor, that they've got an alcohol and they stink, that means they clean. So we can put a tiny bit of Loctite on. I use a particular Loctite. I don't use Loctite, I use a company called Delta, which is based over in Barnsley. So I'm just going to put a tiny bit of that on the very top thread. No point putting it all the way down, because I want the whole thing. You only want to stop that from coming out. So the idea is to just put a tiny bit on there. So if I was to do that, and then just smoothing that around that very last bit. And that's it. That can be tightened up. I do believe that that needs setting to a particular torque. 17 Newton meters. So if we go to the book, gives you a bit of a description on how to do it all. Refit. I've done all this, has already been cleaned, but yeah, Loctite 77 or 577, which I'm guessing is a semi strength grade. It's not a weak grade. And then yeah, 17 Newton meters, which I believe that is more than 17 Newton meters that I've done there. Yeah, it's more than enough. The Loctite will do its job. And that's it basically. So thank you. But yeah, that was my little modification to make life really easy for removing these in the future. Shame that Land Rover never did that themselves, or somebody else hasn't even done that with their machine parts that they've had machined to sell. Thank you.